I really like her work. Here, watch.
I'm gonna go buy a Coke in Mexico. What the heck? Not the dog almost getting ran over. He's good though. If you've ever been to Mexico, you know they have corner stores almost everywhere. I live over there and all I have to do is walk to that place right there. I have to ring the bell so they know I'm here. Here she is. Hola. ¿Cuánto cuesta la coca? 25 pesos. ¿Ese? ¿Me das ese? Ahí está. ¿Tú qué? Pero ya me cobraste el envase? Oh, okay. At the moment, I didn't get what she meant. So she said she's not going to charge me for the bottle. All she's going to do is write my name down so she doesn't forget that she lent me the bottle. Because she's a homegirl. She knows where I live. We're neighbors. So the thing about buying a Coke here is they charge you for the bottle. Or they put your name down because you have to bring this back. And that's what they do over here. You use the bottle, you bring it back, they fill it up, and they resell it. I'm going to go buy a Coke.
Now, that's really good work. But there's two things here. Bottle. That's not an English word. That's not a Spanish word. That's an Italian word. Okay, now, so, and then to complicate it, in Mexico, for container, and that's what they're talking about. They're talking about a container. They use the French word for can, which is bote, como as in botulism, bote. Okay, so in bottle, Mexicans say something like botelo. I don't exactly get it. I always think in terms of how they say it in Italian. So, I just try and avoid saying bottle because they're using French, bote, for the container. They're using botello. They're using botello of Italian for the bottle. And when they say a tub, a big tub, like a oak barrel, like a barrel, they use another word, which is not Spanish. And so it's the Spanish French is like baril, el baril, but they're using something entirely different, and it's something I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's something that is very Anglo, like another word for barrel, but that's in English. That's the word that they use for barrel. But she's very good. She's very good. Now, check with ChatGPT. In particular, ChatGPT is going to talk about this. And they're going to talk about one particular paper from the 1970s where the linguist who wrote the paper, he's going to say in the paper, and ChatGPT will direct you to this paper. The guy is going to confirm what I am presupposing, what I am, and it's a presupposition because I don't have any evidence, but he does. I just have anecdotes. I've seen this with people. That's not evidence. That may be experiential, but that is not evidence. And my personal experiences are not evidence, so I'm not claiming that. It's not data driven. But this guy's paper is data driven. And what he's saying in a data driven paper, and I'll try and put it in the link. I'm kind of in a hurry, so I'm going to get out of here. I got to go to work. But what he's saying in this paper is that between 1 and 2 years, anyone who can speak one language will speak another language. And particularly, he's talking about the codified languages. Now, he's not going to say, I'm talking about the codified languages. But it's very important that you understand that what we're talking about are the codified languages. The language has to have a literature. It has to have a fairly extensive literature. It must be written down. It must have a grammar. It must have some sort of currency in the academic parlance. You know, someone has had to have done some type of synthetic analysis on the language to say that it's like Tagalog, it's a focus grammar. It's like German, it has a past particle that is in front of the verb, which is like the same. Ge and did are the same exact things in English and in German, except for in English the particle is at the end of the verb. You know, it has to say stuff like that. It has to say stuff like to conjugate means the exact same thing is to copulate. You're copulating with the verb, the person. Yo ti amo. I have copulated with the verb amor, and so now I am the nominative case. So it has to have those elements. So it has to have Thomas Aquinas, who basically codified Latin grammar. Then there's Greek, who codified Greek grammar. So that's at this point inaccessible to me. I can read some Greek, but not enough to make any opinion on the early Greek grammars. So I can read some ancient Greek, but not much. You know, I can, if a general is got his troops arrayed in a line, that's about as far as I can get. The general has his troops arrayed in a line. Okay. This woman, she's very good. She's very, very good. You watch her, she's going to get you to a conversational level. Another thing that she's saying is there's the word cobra. ¿Cuántos es tu cobra? I say cuántos pesos, or cuántos, and she's saying costa. And now remember, when you say costa, that's Italian, because that can mean thing, and that's also French, and that's also English. So that's why I say cuántos pesos por este coca. Okay, now you can say it the way she and this lady are saying it, but remember, you're speaking Italian and English and French. You're not necessarily speaking Spanish. Okay, but that's really good. That's really good. If you're not concerned about those little subtle differences and you only want to be able to say it one way, say it one way. But you can say cuántos es tu cobra, and that means a rent. Yo quiero alquilar un departamento. ¿Cuántos y le cobra per mes? I want to rent an apartment. How much is it per mes? Per month. Okay, that's with a service, with something that is going by a rate. And then the way that she's saying cost, how much does the coke cost? That's talking about a thing. And like I said, read that paper, because what she's saying and the level at which she's speaking, and she's just giving you a pure translation, but she's not talking about any grammar. That's what's going to get it done for you, because you need little simple things like going to a store in a dark, oscura calle que no está ancho en mil noche a comprar un Coca-Cola. Now, comprar in Latin means to obtain. It's the exact same thing as in Portuguese as in procurar. See? That's why when you go from Portuguese to Spanish to Latin and you say buscar, y ela tiende buscar un Coca-Cola. Yo quiero por este particular tallar. Tallar is French. It is not Spanish. It kind of means size, but it doesn't mean size like it, because it's talla de zapatos. It doesn't mean size like you're thinking. It means a measured size. It means, because tallar means to cut from a pattern, so a measured size. See, now you're saying, well, none of this stuff matters. I can just matriculate and I don't need to know any of this stuff. Okay, that's correct. That's correct. But sooner or later, you're gonna run into a Haitian, and he's gonna be confused. Sooner or later, you're gonna run into a Portuguese speaker, and you're gonna and he's gonna need your help, or you're gonna need his help, and you're gonna be confused. He's gonna be confused. So it's better, sooner or later you're gonna run into a Quebecois. They're gonna be confused. You're gonna be confused. Mexican's gonna be confused. Now, and then you're gonna run into an English speaker, and he's gonna be thinking that he's saying it the right way, and he's actually saying something that an Italian would say, or something that a German would say, or something that a Frenchman would say, or something that's said in the southern Philippines. I mean, he's saying it that way. And he's going to need help. You're going to need help. It's going to be confusing. So it's just better to have all of these things in your mind, so that when you meet a variety of people and you hear a variety of the same thing being said in different ways, you can deal with it. But she's very good and well worth your time. Read that paper. It's going to perfectly convince you that within a year, because Spanish is so close to English, it's going to convince you that in a year, that if you speak Arabic, you speak English, you speak French, you listen to German music. German music has a heavy reggaeton vibe now. So many Germans listen to a lot of Spanish. Okay, so you speak Russian, you speak Tagalog, you speak any other really closely associated languages with Spanish, within a year you are up and running. Not with an extensive amount of grammatical study, watching movies, like the guy who said he watched movies for 52 hours and then he emerged fluent. Well, he probably after 52 hours of watching movies emerged with conversational Spanish. That is very, very, very possible. Very possible. Well, does that mean that when people say Ella, that I'm not gonna say ella? Ella vim, or I'm still gonna think in Portuguese. I mean, that's kind of like, I'm still gonna revert. A Frenchman is still gonna revert. An English speaker is still gonna revert. A German is still gonna revert. You know, but reversion. Don't let linguistic reversion and pronunciation be the only things that you're concerned about. Linguistic reversion, pronunciation, and grammar. You're concentrating so much in those three things that you're just not walking down to the store and saying, hey, yo quiero por un Coca-Cola. ¿Cuántos pesos? ¿Cuántos pesos es tu cobra por este Coca-Cola? I mean, you're not just walking down there and saying that because you're worried about all of these other things. All of these other things. She's very good. Watch her. She's going to get you up and running. What is buying Coca-Cola in Mexico? Corner store. Let's see who she is and see who she is. YD. See? And she only has 38 videos, and she has a lot of followers. Number one, she's beautiful. That really helps. And she's just elemental. I'm going to have to subscribe. And Not because she's going to teach me something that I don't know. That's not the issue. Uh, Here's one where she's going to cover something that's very important. Watch this.
Did you know in Mexico to use the restroom, you most likely will get charged? It's usually common in cities.
Okay, now I could see from what she was talking about that this is very important. Now look, this this moedas por el baño, this can cause some really uncomfortable situations because the lines can get really long, and and you gotta go and they're charging you 20 pesos or 10 pesos, and I've seen people from the United States start screaming, as they're jumping up and down about to urinate in their pants that, hey, the Supreme Court has already settled this. This should be a human right. And that's true. That's true in the European Union, Canada, and the United States, but it's not true in Mexico. Now, in general, there are bathrooms available, but the bathroom deal is a big issue, and she's covering this. See, it's this sort of thing that is most important. You know, like, do people stop at stop signs? How do you go to the bathroom? How do you buy a Coca-Cola? What happens with, when the dogs are chasing you? Like, can you pick up a rock and hit somebody's dog? Because that's not, in Mexico, there's really no such thing as a stray dog. That's someone's dog. They just let their dog out of the house and let their dog go out there and play, and the dog chases cars. Well, it chases bikes. The people in the neighborhood know the dog, so it's not a big deal. But the people outside of the neighborhood don't know the dog and want to harm the dog. So all of these things are important. She's going to tell you how to go to the pharmacy. But let's watch her on this one, because this is important, because you're going to get frustrated. Watch.
He's in any big event. If you ever visit Mexico, you'll see the sign WC. That means they have a restroom business. ¿Cuánto es? You most likely will pay 5 pesos to use their services. To me, it's weird that they have a full functioning business, because in the United States, all you have to do is walk into a store and just use the restroom. Ask your cousins, and they'll tell you it's not free to take a dookie. And using these services, you'll most likely come across some disturbing images. Oh yeah, by the way, sorry if you're eating, trigger warning. Oh yeah, and they also hand you about this much of toilet paper. And good luck if you're gonna take a number 2. You're gonna have to figure out how to be resourceful. Just to let you know, they don't offer toilet seat covers, and if you want more toilet paper, you'll have to pay for it. Sometimes everybody's gonna have to share a soap, but no biggie, rinse that bad boy up. And as a reward, I bought myself a mini hamburger. Usually these bathroom places have the essentials, like feminine products, snacks, cigarettes, water, and I only paid 4 pesos for my hamburger. So in total, the whole trip was 9 pesos, which is 46 cents. Did you know in Mexico?
Now, I don't know where she's at. Where I'm at, generally, you don't, I never asked to use the bathroom. I either use the bathroom at home or I use the bathroom at the gym. And the reason why is because, I don't want the hassle of the bathroom. So, you gotta, I don't even ask, like if I go to the supermarket, like Mi Tienda, I don't even ask where the bathroom is. I mean, I don't even ask that question anymore, because I know either they don't have one, or it's going to be pay, it's going to be a line, or it's going to get complicated. Okay, now, you have to be concerned to see people selling food and having bathroom services. And they are not posting properly in the bathroom, hey, wash your hands like this, do that. They don't practice proper hygiene. Okay, so again, if you are attempting to eat food in public in Mexico, you're making a serious mistake. Only eat food that you have controlled the cold chain, the hot chain, the packaging, the repackaging. You have to control all of the elements. I'm going to go back to the Philippines. You see people all the time, they'll be sitting in the Philippines and they'll be drinking ice. and they think, hey, I'm perfectly safe, and the next day they're sick because they drank ice, because they don't understand enough microbiology to know that the harmful bacteria at freezing within the ice cube is dormant. Once it gets into your system at 98.6, it revives and it's in there doing whatever it does, harming you or helping you. I'm not going to be prejudiced against it. But those are the things that you have to realize. You have to understand an extreme amount of the physical sciences when you are in these third world countries, because there's not such a thing as you hit that button and everything works automatically. You've got to figure it out. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. You'll see people that are working on a cement project. Maybe they're putting cement in block, or they're they're laying block, or they're grouting or whatever. And what they'll do is they'll go on the side of the street, and they'll pour the cement on the side of the street. They'll take a shovel and water and they'll mix the cement. They won't mix it in a mixer, and they won't have an FDA. They won't have an an environmental protection enclosure where they put on a plastic bottom, they put on wood sidings, and they absolutely control the supply. They control the flow of that cement in any potential waterway, through rain, through traffic, through foot. They just won't control it. They're not concerned about it. Okay, that's how it works. So you've got to understand that, because because that means that you're exposing yourself to high degrees of toxicity. High degrees of toxicity. So when you see those things, you don't want to walk downwind. Okay.